bitter cold. Trudging through the snow of the ice-world Goliath 6 was no easy task on a good day. Being weighed down with power armor and all of the necessary items to survive a few days made things even more complicated. We marched through the open plain separating the two patches of forest. Sitting ducks. And we knew it. I prayed we wouldn't be hit. I prayed I could survive this planet without ever seeing combat. I don't think I prayed hard enough. The wood line in front of us opened fire. The natives of Goliath 6 was one of the few species, like humanity, that preferred metal or ceramic projectiles over superheated plasma. We dove into the snow and began firing. Well, everyone but me. I buried my head into snow, hoping I would wake up somewhere else. That's when I heard a voice. An impossible voice. It was a man I knew was back on Earth. I looked around for that voice and only saw Private First Class Jessica W. Winslow yelling at me between bursts of fire from her weapon. Her voice was not her own. It was a man I feared and respected. It was the voice of my drill sergeant telling me what to do. I complied, just like the hundreds of other times I heard his powerful voice telling me what to do. I poked my head up and judged my distance to my target, about 50 meters to the tree line and a few more to the enemy guns, well within the range of the underslug grenade launcher I carried. I took aim, and the thwomp sound greeted me after firing, pulling the trigger. Time seemed to slow down as I watched the grenade fly in the air. At 10 feet above the ground, the grenade blew, releasing its payload of white phosphorus across a wide area. If bullets can't kill your enemy, a healthy dose of fire will always do its job. I watched as some jumped up, burning. The small patch of trees surrounded them lit on fire almost as fast. The trees were almost like pine back on Earth. It burned very quickly once it caught. For a brief second, no rounds were exchanged between our two sides as the fire spread. I raised my rifle and shot at one of them on fire. Burning was a terrible way to die. I awoke with the sweat pouring down my face. The room was cold. The cold always brought back that dream. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a memory either. It was torture. That was another lifetime ago. Days long past, and yet they still haunt me. I crossed the room and slammed the window shut. It was early, and no way of getting back to sleep now. I got up to get ready for my day, silently praying for the memories to stop haunting me. Maybe I should go someplace warm. Maybe then the nightmares would go away. Sometimes the embrace of my wife would keep them at bay. That was before she died, though. I walked down the street, not really thinking, just going about my daily routine. It was only a few minutes' walk from my house to the small general store I ran since I finished my military service. I checked the door and found it unlocked. I kicked myself. You never know what might happen. The town has a low crime rate, but things still happen. I flick the lights on and hear a moan coming from one of the aisles. Maybe it is a homeless man just looking for a warm place to sleep? Only one way to find out, I tell myself. Walking towards the moan, and I can smell liquor and vomit. Great, something I'll have to clean up before opening for the day. As I turn the corner, I see him. Sergeant William G. Green, or at least long ago that's what he was called. Nowadays, he's the town drunk. He's several decades younger than me, but I'm one of the few who can say I know why he drinks. "Sergeant, get off your ass!" I yell with all of my breath. Green jumped, standing to attention. Some things just never get unlearned. "How many times do I have to tell you to stop your drinking?" "It won't solve anything." "I know. I tried." I tell him this just about any time I catch him drunk. I saw the tears roll from his eyes as he tried to explain. I've heard all of his excuses. I sometimes hear myself from years ago. I grab a bottle of water and pain pills and toss them to him. "Take these and clean up this mess. I want to talk to you before shop opens." I walk off to the small office behind the counter. Have to take inventory and find out what needs to be ordered. Sitting at my desk, I looked at a list of the dead. All my responsibility, and I let them get killed. Some say I couldn't have stopped them getting killed. I knew this in my heart, but maybe if I had trained them just a little better before sending them off to fight those damn Xenos. I cried as I wrote those letters home. Your son/daughter died a hero. A phrase I hated. A child should never die before their parents. Private First Class Reverie K. Alfeo was the worst. He had no family to speak of, never had a family, orphaned at birth, never had a foster home for more than a month. His first real family was the military. I cried for days after his death. A knock at the door tore my eyes from the paper, and I could see Green standing there.
I finished cleaning up. You said you wanted to talk to me?
I wiped the tears from my eyes. Yes, have a seat. I pointed to one of the few chairs in my office and waited for him to sit. I wanted to talk about your drinking problem. At that point, Green started to get defensive, saying everything in the book. I don't have a problem. You don't know why I drink. I listened to him and mentally checked off everything I once said to someone when I was on the other side of this conversation. I took out an old photo from my desk drawer. I handed it to him. It was my squad and I in Arctic camo, sitting atop a Reynolds class light troop carrier. I know exactly why you drink. I was once there myself. That was taken on Goliath 6, 2 days before my first firefight. I saw the look of surprise on his face. Few people in the town knew of my service. Few wanted to know.
I'm sorry, sir. I was under the impression you weren't involved with the military. Looking back on it, I should have known.
The air seemed to tense up in the office.
How do you deal with the things you have done and seen? He asked.
A phrase said by many soldiers throughout the centuries. Despite the advances in technology, every combat soldier bears scars of every battle he ever faced. Every rifle shot in combat is forever etched into their brains.
How do you make them go away?
I looked at him, a bit of vomit still on his shirt. Not how a soldier should be seen. You can't. Even now, time won't make them go away. Nothing will. You just need to learn to live with yourself. I paused, letting those words sink in. How about you work for me, and we will try to overcome these challenges together? I still have a long ways to go before I am completely healed, but I found out long ago drinking myself into a coma was not the way to go. The room was quiet for a moment.
I would like that, he said.